Like we are live. Um, I'm Clint from Regional Federal Credit Union, and we're going to talk about preventing card fraud today. So that's your debit card, credit card, either one of those. There's two main ways that thieves get a hold of our card information. They take it, and examples of that would be skimming, data breaches, things like that. Um, where a device or some electronic means is used to just steal card data. And the other main channel is that we give it to them, and that's phishing and assorted other scams. Basically someone tricks you into revealing your card data. On that first point, skimming. This is when a device of some kind is attached to a ATM, a gas pump, a card reader, and it's designed to collect the magnetic stripe data of the card as it's inserted into the machine. A lot of times this also involves a hidden camera someplace that is aimed at the keypad on the ATM, gas pump, whatever. That's, to capture your PIN. Some point later, the crooks come by, get the device, or use Bluetooth to download the data from the device, get the data from the camera, and, match that up with the card data that they've skimmed. And then they can write this data onto blank card stock and basically create new debit cards, fraudulent debit cards with your data using your PIN. Now, this was much more widespread before chip cards became more popular. Just about every card now has a chip, and if not every card. And most retailers now have chip readers. But these old school magnetic stripe readers are still out there. They still exist. There was, I think, supposed to originally be a deadline that everybody was supposed to switch over to chip readers, but didn't necessarily happen everywhere. I think that deadline got pushed back a few years. So, how to prevent skimming. First off, let's talk about the gas pump. If you're using your card at a gas pump and it's not a chip reader, use your card as credit so you're not punching in your PIN. It'll say, it'll prompt you for the PIN, and there'll be an option to use as credit or bypass PIN or skip, whatever it says. Go with that option. So at least then if they've skimmed your card data, they don't have your PIN. Still not a great situation, but at least they can, at least they can't just get cash out of an ATM with using that data. Another option you have at a gas pump is going inside to pay for your gas. It's much easier to place a skimmer on a gas pump that's outside than it is to go into the store right in front of the person working at the gas station and install a skimming device on that card reader. Also, use pumps that are closer to the office, more visible. The one all the way at the end is more likely to have a skimmer attached. At the ATM, one of the rules, just don't use skeevy looking ATMs. You find an ATM that's outdoors in an unlit far end of a parking lot of an abandoned shopping mall, and the machine looks like it was thrown from a moving train. Don't use that ATM. That machine is alone a lot, and that's plenty of opportunity for someone to attach a skimmer to that. If possible, when you need cash, you find an indoor ATM. Again, more people around, more difficult for a crook to put a skimming device on. If it is an outside machine, like you can't find an indoor one, Find a well-lit one that's not isolated, like I said, at the far end of some parking lot or out in the middle of nowhere. Uh, you know, an ATM that's attached to the building and secure than a standalone. If anything looks off, and that, gas pumps and ATMs both, if anything looks weird, you know, go somewhere else if you possibly can. Of course, you could, there's times when you run out of gas and, maybe you don't have a choice because the next gas station is far away. But, in that case, go inside or, try use one of your other options. At the ATM, if there's like a weirdly mounted brochure rack or something that looks like, that bank didn't put it there, be wary of that because the camera could be hidden inside that brochure rack. And of course, the skimmers now, it used to be the skimmers themselves were kind of visible. They would have to put there was like a whole fake front of an ATM, and they'd have to match it up to the brand of machine and like glue this thing to the front. But technology has improved, unfortunately, for the rest of us. And these skimmers now just fit inside the slot, and you can't really see them. But a lot of them would still have that camera. If there's a second pin pad glued onto the original, if something looks like it's glued on somewhere, that's a sign to be careful of that machine and basically not use it. Now, chip cards have made skimming a little more difficult for crooks. But like I said, these devices are still out there that don't have a chip reader. Getting fewer and fewer now, fortunately, which is good for the rest of us. But when you encounter one, or just a skeevy looking ATM, use trust your gut on these things. Now, the other way that criminals can just take your card data is data breaches. Now, this again was a lot more widespread before chip cards, the EMV chip cards, became sort of the mainstream thing in the U.S. Used to be that a lot of retailers didn't have the best security on the old-fashioned magnetic stripe readers, and through a variety of electronic means and social engineering, hacking, however. They were able to get into these systems and steal large amounts of customer card data. And, and this was kind of 2013, I believe this was when this peaked. If you remember the Target data breach from back then, 2013, 2014, I believe. When just, well over 100 million consumers had their card data stolen. And you kind of, since so many people shop at Target, you had to sort of, wait your turn to have some weird charge show up, or have, your card issuer block it, or temporarily hold your card because, a strange charge from a foreign country came through, or at least tried to. Now, this led to this is pretty much what led to card issuers switching over to EMV chip cards. Which are a lot harder. That data is encrypted in a different way, and your card number during a transaction isn't directly transmitted or stored inside the machine. That was something. I don't know the technical aspects of what happened back when these card data breaches were happening, but it had something to do with when the machine would store the card number for a brief moment. They were able to get into those machines and take that data. Again, though, there are still some non-chip card readers out there. And there are transactions, online transactions, where you're providing your card number, expiration date, the code on the back. You're providing that and to a company that's, you're buying something from. They're going to send you something, or it's, you're buying an app or a piece of software, or an item. If those companies would experience a data breach, there is a possibility that, card data could be compromised that way. So how do you stay safe from this type of card security threat? First off, if you have a choice, if a store is still using a magnetic stripe reader, go somewhere else. It's a lot more vulnerable. And, if they haven't switched over yet, maybe they're just playing the odds like, well, it hasn't happened to us yet. So, even though we could be held liable for those losses, for not having the technology in place, we're just not going to spend the money on that, on the chip reader technology. Different reasons for that. But, go somewhere else if you don't have a choice. Situations vary. Pay a different way. You can't really data breach cash. It's pretty difficult. If you're if you're still going to use a card, do it in a way you don't use your PIN. Use a credit card that's not directly linked to your checking account or your available cash funds. And that gives you a bit of a buffer if there is some kind of fraud or a data breach or something. Now, those are how thieves can take card data. What about the times when we just give them our card data? Best example, of course, is phishing scams. We're all human. We have emotions, and those emotions can be preyed upon for criminal ends by bad people. And it makes us our own weakest security link. So, somebody gets us afraid or worried that we're going to miss out on something, and then, if we get riled up enough, you can, you don't think critically about the situation, and then you provide your card information or whatever personal information to someone who shouldn't have it. Millions of examples of phishing. The classic one is the email that says, it looks like it comes from a bank, that says your debit card or whatever has been deactivated. Could be credit, but a lot of times they say debit card in these emails. And there was suspicious activity, your card's been deactivated, you need to click on this link to verify your card data. Of course, that takes you to a fake website. You enter your card number to verify it. You enter, the expiration date and the code from the back of the card, and your name and address, and maybe your account number at that bank, and maybe your PIN or your password. They'll get as much data as they possibly can from you, and all based on them trying to make you afraid of being out there without your debit card, because a lot of us use those every day or almost every day, and it's not fun to be without it when you need something. You need gas for your car to get home from work, and you find out that it's if it was suddenly unavailable, that could put you in a tough situation. So something that we all kind of have in the back of our mind. Well, these messages, these emails, they play on that and try to get us like, oh, I'm scared. I'm going to lose my debit card. Oh, my debit card, something wrong. I got to fix this now. Playing on your emotions. Another version where they trick us into giving this data away. Telephone scams like tech support. Someone calls you and says, hey, you've got a virus on your computer, and I can help you fix it. And then they, get you to pay over the phone by revealing your card data, and then, they either do nothing, or they, make everything worse by having you do something to your computer that hands control over to them, or downloads a virus that does further damage. There's 1,000 ways that scam can go. Trying to make you afraid, and then asking for card data to, urgently make that fear go away. Another example, jury duty, IRS. Caller says, oh, you're in trouble because you didn't pay taxes or you missed jury duty, but you can pay some of that now or pay a fine to get out of trouble. We take credit or debit, and then they ask for your information. Main thing to keep in mind, this is, one of the things I say a lot. Well, there's a couple of those actually here. Anybody asking for card information when you didn't initiate the transaction, that's kind of a warning sign. Somebody contacted you and then wanted you to give them this information. Big red flag. Someone trying to, the other one is, I say a lot, is someone trying to make you afraid, and that could be afraid of getting in trouble, afraid of losing access to something, or afraid of missing out on a great deal, afraid of missing out on, whatever, most of us have heard of a lot of different types of scams, just about anything, but they're trying to make you afraid, and you need to act quickly to make that fear go away by giving them something like your credit or debit card data, the numbers and all that information. That's a scammer. For the most part, it never turns out any other way. I certainly haven't encountered any examples of that working out in the favor of the person who provided their card data. Now, in general, things you can do to keep your cards, to protect your plastic, so to speak. One of the best out there is using a digital wallet, and it's new technology. You got to learn how to use it. You have to have a smartphone that has a digital wallet, whether that's an Android or Apple device. But using a digital wallet like Apple Pay or Google Pay is actually a really good idea. You add your card, you add your actual, your card information to the wallet, but you're initiating the transaction, so it's okay. When you use this to pay for something now, and you bring up the wallet, you do whatever if you have to do to provide a PIN or Face ID, fingerprint, whatever your phone does, and then you hold it near the digital wallet card reader, and it will that signal, it reads it, and then it'll ask you to enter your PIN. Sometimes you can bypass that. Again, use your card as credit if it's your debit card. Obviously, if it's credit, you're not going to enter a PIN. And then that's how you pay for things. Now, the cool thing about using a digital wallet is your actual card number and all the other data that's on that card is never transferred to whoever you're paying. So whether you're buying gas, whether you're buying something in a store, even if you're using Apple or Google Pay to purchase something online, a lot of online sellers now, you can use your digital wallet. You're not actually transferring your card number at all to them. It uses it's a one-time token, and it's encrypted. It only works that one time. If by some technological miracle a criminal got a hold of that number, that really long number that's not your 16-digit card number, it would be worthless because it's already been used. Even if they somehow also captured your PIN, well, great job. What are you going to do with that? It's 4 or 6 digits that are not linked to anything. It's worthless. Otherwise, if you're not using a digital wallet, when you buy things on the internet, only use credit. Like not your debit card as a credit card, but actually have a credit card. And even better is to have one credit card that you only use for online transactions. That way, if there's any kind of fraudulent activity, first off, it's a credit card, so it's not linked to your directly to your checking account, and also makes it easier to figure out where the fraud occurred. It's like, well, if you're using your debit card for everything in a fraudulent transaction, it's like, okay, where did it happen? Was it a skimming thing, or was it some online thing? Did I get phished and not, did I not have my guard up that day? If you're just using this credit card and there's some kind of fraudulent activity, then you at least know that it happened at some place that you've gone online and bought something. There's another aspect of card security that comes up, and that's the idea of RFID skimming. RFID and like the EMV chip are not quite the same thing. A lot of EMV cards have an RFID. It's like a little radio signal thing. I don't use it personally. It's the feature that enables you to hold the card near something to pay for it instead of swiping it or inserting it for the chip. One of the things you hear about this is that there's this crime called RFID skimming, and that involves criminals walking around with this handheld device, and all they have to do is get close enough to your pocket or wherever your card is kept, and they just walk by and they read that data coming off that card from that RFID chip. Now, this is possible in theory. I saw a video where they set up a scenario and showed that it could be done. And sometimes people assume that this is what happened if they've had some kind of card fraud and they don't know where it happened. Something fraudulent happened. They don't know. You can't pinpoint. And a lot of fraud is like that. A lot of times you just don't know. So they just assume, well, somebody must have walked by me with one of those devices that, must be what happened because I heard about this thing and then I had this fraud with an unknown source. The thing is, with this theoretically possible crime, that I don't think there's any real world examples ever having been proven. The people talking about it the most generally are also selling special wallets that supposedly block RFID signals to keep your cards safe from this type of skimming. So, why are they playing up the possibility of this crime? Well, because they can possibly make money off of you being worried about it. So what do you do? What I say is if you're looking at a wallet and it's not like the RFID is that whatever layer of foil that's in it, I don't know what they use. Whatever that is, if it doesn't cost any more than a wallet or whatever without that feature, I mean, go ahead. Why not? Whatever. Just, hey, it's not costing anything. But if you're looking at something and it's kind of pricey for a fake leather wallet or whatever that's going to keep you safe from RFID skimming, save your money. Don't get some. You don't buy some goofy wallet. That's just that costs too much because of this feature that doesn't really add any protection. You don't need to carry a Faraday cage around with your card sitting in the middle of it. And if you have two cards that have that RFID feature and they're both in your wallet, those signals can't be discerned from each other by one of these alleged RFID skimmers. So they would just scramble each other and the signal wouldn't be readable anyway. So just having two cards is protection against this theoretical situation. So I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant out there. Don't be careful about who you're giving card data to. Watch out for things that look weird if you're at a gas pump or at an ATM, and just something doesn't seem right, or somebody's trying to make you afraid or get some emotional response, and then asking for money or personal information. Um, Trust your gut and just kind of step away from situations like that, because you know getting scammed is no fun. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.